Hello everyone, welcome back. First timers, welcome for the first time. My name is Jeff. I'm a longtime Sleep Token fan, and today I'm going to be taking a listen to their latest song, Damocles, from the forthcoming album, Even in Arcadia, which is coming May 9th, a couple weeks away. This song has been out for a couple of days now. I'm a little bit late to the party. I've had a busy last couple of days with work and some other training and personal stuff. So full disclosure, I have read the lyrics to this track and I've seen some people what they're saying about the new song and how it kind of dovetails off of the heels of Caramel. It's another, from what I hear, it's another personal mask off performance from Vessel. So this time I am prepared emotionally with a little bit of a guard up. I doubt it will be as emotional as the last video that I did for Caramel, but I haven't heard the music yet. I only am familiar with the lyrics because I wanted to be able to discuss and talk about the lyrics after this first time reaction. So just to let you know my intention for today, I'm going to listen to this for the first time and then I'll talk about it afterwards. I'll put a timestamp on there so that you know whenever the reaction starts, and then you'll know when the analysis starts. The reason I'm doing that, I've gotten some feedback from some people from some other videos that I've done, and it's been helpful. They've said that the videos are too long and it's too much to ask people to spend an hour plus watching a reaction video. So I'll timestamp it so you'll see where the reaction is and where the actual deep dive and analysis starts. But I'd like to make a request before I get started here today. I'm going to be having some vacation time coming up in late May, and I invite you to subscribe so that you can get notified whenever I have more reactions and analysis coming up from the album. I don't know that I'll get to it until late May because I'm just busy. And I know everyone's time is valuable, so I appreciate you coming here in the first place and spending time here with me on this channel. Means a lot. But I don't know whenever I'm going to get around to the new songs. So subscribe and you'll get notified whenever that happens. Today, without further ado, Sleep Token, Damocles. Let's listen.
Oh, I've been waking up under blades, blue blossom days. If only Damocles would hit me back. No alabaster carvings or faces on a farthing would prevent my head from fading to black. And it feels like falling into the sea from outer space in seconds to me. And I play discordant days on repeat until they look like harmony. When the river runs dry and the curtain is cold, how will I know if I can't see the bottom? Come up for air and choke on it all. No one else knows that I've got a problem. What if I can't get up and stand tall? What if the diamond days are all gone? And who will I be when the empire falls? Wake up alone and I'll be forgotten. Well, I know I should be touring. I know these chords are boring, but I can't always be killing the game. No golden grand pianos or voices from the shadows will do anything but feel the same. And it feels like falling into the deep from somewhere way up over the peaks. And I play discordant days on repeat the bottom. Come up for air and choke on it all. No one else knows that I've got a problem. What if I can't get up and stand tall? What if the diamond days are all gone? And who will I be when the empire falls? Wake up alone and I'll be forgotten.
Jesus. I thought I was ready. I thought I was ready. I was familiar with the lyrics, and I thought, I know, what's going to be said here, so I'm prepared. Now, man, that's just the power of music, isn't it? Like, the ability to put notes and chords and dynamics with different instruments together and compose a song that just absolutely makes someone feel things that out of nothing, just feel things. What a beautiful song, my God. I'm so happy that ending was so major and hopeful and triumphant, because the lyrical content on this song is very vulnerable and full of distress and just struggle. He's going to have to figure that out. They're going to have to figure this out moving forward. I hope that this album is a transition album where they're going to, grow and accept their plight. Obviously, because of all the popularity and the skyrocketing fame, and the music is so good. And it doesn't sound like there's, as far as chords go, and he even commented on that in this song about how he knows that the chords are boring. It's such singer-songwriter stuff. It's like, this song probably has 5 chords in it. I mean, it's not crazy. It's like a ballad. It's a soft rock ballad. But it's something that he could sit down with a piano or a guitar and play with no other musical accompaniment, which is probably the inception of the song, if I had to guess. Other than the drum fills at the end, too, the percussionist is just playing for the song in this song. It's not flashy. There's no special sauce going on here. It's just very, very much in the pocket playing for the song. And I think Vessel told us as much in the song. He's spelling things out for us very clearly with this album. There's a lot of straight talk. And it's strange as a longtime fan of this band, because it's been so cryptic in the past. And yes, underneath of all of the masks and the layers of the metaphor and the allegory and the wordsmithing is vulnerable personal stuff, stories of himself and relationships and love loss and, just struggles in his life. So you can hear that if you go back through their catalog and listen to their previous albums. But with this one, it's very much addressing the audience and the fans directly. And it's really nice to see him being so open and so vulnerable, but it's also heartbreaking. It's also really, really tough to hear as a fan, because you just want the man to be happy and find some peace. And it seems like he's, with this album, I'm sure some time has passed since he wrote these songs and since he recorded these songs. It takes time to do all of that and get in the studio and produce it and mix it and master it, distribute it, send it out, market the new album, get the tour set up. All of that stuff takes time. So I'm sure that there's been some more maturity. He's a smart cookie. He's a scholar. He's not just a poet, but he is a scholar, and he's showing us that with this new album. In the past, we've had themes of fantasy with, this lore of a relationship with a deity named Sleep. And, no matter how much stock you put into that, I think it's, again, ultimately underneath of that mask and underneath of all of the layers of symbolism is a guy that with some very personal struggles. And this new iteration of Sleep Token is more like Greco-Roman themed. It's more steeped in, at least the symbolism and the layer of, the outer layer of it is kind of, even in Arcadia, the song title is Damocles. We've got a song, the next song on the album is Gethsemane, which is the Garden of Gethsemane, which is the last place that Jesus went with his disciples before he was persecuted, caught, and brought to crucifixion. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to play in with this new era of Sleep Token. It's foreboding. I mean, it certainly gives me concern. And then the final track of the album being called Infinite Baths. And if you've looked that up, then you'll know that it's about the heating of a material or a substance and the internal temperature of that. It's a chemical reference, which he has plenty of in his earlier tracks. But the internal temperature of that thing stays the same. So it's about something heating up and the temperature rising, but yet the entity itself is able to keep its normal temperature. So that's kind of symbolic of what he's going through, right? He's going through all of this pressure and weight. And this song Damocles with the sword hanging above his head, if you've researched that mythology, then you'll know about the story. I don't have to do that here because there's plenty of other people who I'm sure are going to talk about the mythology there. It's a 4th century BC myth, and I don't think it's rooted. I think it's supposed to be apocryphal and just a tale. It's not rooted in reality, but it was eventually orated by a philosopher, an early philosopher, Cicero, and it eventually became mainstream in the culture of Roman times, Greco-Roman times, and now we get to hear about it from other artists. Again, I've done my research on the lyrics, so I'm familiar with that content in this song, but it still doesn't prepare you for musically what you experience when you actually hear those words with music and how he arranged all of that. Such a beautiful song. But again, I'm so hopeful with the end, how bright it was and how hopeful it was. There was like a feeling of like a resignated acceptance, a resigned acceptance to what's happening with him. The whole song is about just feeling the weight of things and pressure, and I don't know, it's full of questions. And Caramel was full of a lot of questions too, like, what if the empire crumbles? What if I can't stand up and stay tall? What if the diamond days are all over? There's plenty of references there to previous Sleep Token eras. With Sundowning, you've got, Teeth are Diamonds in The Offering. You've got Euclid, Diamonds in the Trees, Pentagrams in the Night Sky from Take Me Back to Eden, which is, this is a common thing with Sleep Token. If you haven't been a longtime fan, then as you dig through their previous albums, you'll know that there's a lot of references to other songs and other symbols and common themes within songs that tie everything together. So, but it's double and triple entendres too, because you've got an album coming up for them, which is very likely to go diamond. I think their previous album went gold in the UK. I don't know if it went platinum, but I know it went gold. And this new album, with the attention that they're getting, I saw on iTunes yesterday that the new song Damocles has come up as #1, and that's not just rock or metal, that's all genres. which is incredibly impressive for a band of this ilk. You've got a metal and rock band who does all sorts of different styles and genres and incorporates a lot of different elements into their music. But now you've got a #1 track on iTunes, and I'm interested to see what it's going to be on the top 100 Billboard. But anyhow, he's got all this weight of the pressure of putting out the next big thing and pleasing people, and I'm sure he's got pressure from a record label asking you to, focus on putting out songs that are going to be the most successful and attractive to fans, and that's a hard position to be in. I've been in a band, a signed band, and I know what it's like to have an AR representative come to your show and look at they're kind of assessing your performance and how the crowd is receiving you, and they're kind of the mediator between the record label and the band. And there can just be a lot of additional pressure put upon an artist with studio work and with performances and all of the PR and photo shoots and videos and just those engagements, all those responsibilities, the increase in responsibilities that you have as a performance artist at the level that they are now at, and they're going to continue to have to perform at. And it's a lot for a person, especially a person who from the start didn't want any personal recognition, didn't want to be known. And this album is talking about how he feels violated, that people have, they're coming to the shows and they're trying to scream his name out, and that makes someone uncomfortable who doesn't want any attention, who just wants to have their life separate from their musical career. And it's not going to happen for him at this point, and he's coming to terms with that, and he's finding his way. And I hope to goodness that he sticks with it and he continues to mature and finds his way through this, navigates through this. But if not, at the same time, as I've said in previous reaction videos of mine, as fans of musicians, when we love an artist, the #1 thing that you should hope for is the artist's, peace of mind and happiness and being able to be okay. And if someone is struggling with all of the fame and the responsibilities and everything that comes with the recognition that they're getting, and they need to take some time off, or they need to, bow out, then we need to respect that. And if he feels like he's up on stage going through the motions, doing the same thing, and he's playing a lot of songs and music that doesn't feel relevant to him anymore, and it feels like just an act, and he's tired of screaming and he's tired of being hurt and upset, he's saying that in these last 2 songs very clearly. I don't have the lyrics in front of me right now, so I don't know that I'm going to dive as deep into them as I would have hoped, but I can point out a couple things. I know in the opening line of the song, he says, I've been waking up under Blade's blue blossom days, if only Damocles would hit me back. Blue blossom days, when I first heard blue blossom and blue blossom days, I thought of the plant Evolvulus glomerulis, which is I work in landscaping. I do estimating for new construction projects and enhancement projects in Florida, and I'm familiar with a lot of ornamental plants, and one of the plants that we commonly use as a ground cover is that plant Evolvulus glomerulis, and it's a Brazilian morning glory, and it's called Blue Days. So I thought of that, but when I looked it up online, I noticed that there's a different plant out in California, a shrub, a member of the buckthorn family, that, it can be a 20-foot tall tree that blossoms, and it's known as blue blossom. And I thought, California, he's waking up under Blade's blue blossom days. And I don't know that anyone else has really considered this, but these guys are from across the pond, right? They're British. They come from London. You can hear that. I'm not giving anything away here. You can hear that in Vessel's voice. He's a British guy. So since the success of Take Me Back to Eden, he's probably had to spend quite a bit of time in LA. his producer, who's worked with him for the last two albums, Take Me Back to Eden and Even in Arcadia, is Carl Brown, and he lives in his studio, I believe, is in LA. If you'll remember, some of you may, some of you may not, but the first clue to discovering the first track, the first single for this new album, was taken from a trail that led from a canyon in LA up to Griffith's Observatory, and there was a QR sticker, a QR code placed on a pipe that was up close to Griffith's Observatory in LA, across the canyon from the Hollywood sign. And whether it was someone actually from Sleep Token who placed that there, or whether it was Carl, or whether it was someone else affiliated with the band, is really unimportant. But I think what I'm getting at here is Vessel and Sleep Token have probably spent quite a bit of time, if not relocated, to California since all the success that they've been experiencing. So he's saying, I've been waking up under blades, blue blossom days, if only Damocles would hit me back. I think he's, maybe he's been relocated, or he's spending a lot of time in California, and those are the specific days that he's referring to. So I thought that was an interesting aside to that opening line. Let me try and think and continue to go through the opening lyrics here. Well, if only Damocles would hit me back. That's hitting the nail on the head. It's the name of the song, and he's saying it'd be nice to be able to speak with someone who's gone through this and who has had these same feelings, someone who had the opportunity to experience power and, riches. Again, I won't bore you with the details of the myth, but that's Vessel's position at this moment. That's Sleep Token's position. So it'd be nice to connect with and ask some questions too about how this ancient mythological character coped with that, that short period of fame and riches that they experienced. If only Damocles would hit me back. So it's just a fun way of saying as much. No, what is the next line in the song? No alabaster carvings or faces on a farthing could make me feel any different. Something along those lines. But alabaster carvings, when we go to museums or we go to parks, a way to commemorate and memorialize and immortalize people is to create, statues and busts and alabaster carvings of that individual. So it's a way of immortalizing someone. So he's saying, you can immortalize me, you can, put me up in this pedestal. Faces on a farthing. A farthing is another, kind of like sovereigns. He said that in Caramel. He's referencing old British currency that's no longer in, circulation. So that's interesting in and of itself. But no faces on a farthing. I think farthings went out of circulation in like the early 1900s or mid 19th century. And yeah, would keep my head from, or prevent my head from turning to black. That was the line. So he's gonna die. It's a song about mortality, and it's a song about commodification of someone, feeling like a commodity. But none of that. No money, no immortalizing me is gonna keep me from fading to black. We're all gonna have that, day where we have to confront our own mortality. So it's kind of a memento mori song. It feels like falling from outer space into the sea in seconds to me, I think is the line. So for him, probably when he's out touring and he's doing the Sleep Token thing, and that's, a driving force in his life now more than ever. When he's not doing that, and when he's back home, whether that's LA or whether that's in London, wherever that may be for him, it probably feels like he's going from this fantasy world where he's, deified, and he's up on this, again, up on this pedestal, and people were screaming his name and worshiping him and all that nonsense that comes with the fame of being someone whose music is really well recognized and popular, then it feels probably like a huge come down, from outer space to the sea in seconds, just crashing down. Um, so that, yeah, that he's being really open and honest in this new music, just telling us about how he feels. I don't know that he's asking for any pity per se, or looking for any sort of handout or sorrow from fans or anything. I think he's just being honest about where he's at, because he's someone who never wanted that. He never wanted any of that, but yet he finds himself there. So he's grappling with all of that. And then where else do we get? Feels like falling to the sea, outer space for seconds and seconds to me. Oh, and I play discordant days on repeat until they look like harmony. So, okay, so he's touring and he's performing and he's playing all of this music that a lot of it is, older to him, and it's very painful, and probably a lot of those wounds have healed if he's moved on from the trilogy and all of the subject matter about a relationship that was so fraught with problems and just trying to make it work with someone else, and you can't, and you end up ending that relationship, or at least coming to a new understanding that it's not going to work, romantically. Then if he's moved past that, then it's got to be difficult as a person to go up on stage and perform songs that are maybe scabbed over, and you just have to pick at those every night you go on the stage. Like, people need to consider that. Like, fans and people that like this music need to consider that. And I've touched upon this in previous reactions of mine, that I think it's really sad that we expect artists that cover really sensitive and personal material to go up on stage night after night and perform those same songs. Like, maybe there needs to come a time when that person has worked through that issue and that art has served its purpose, and they can present new things to us, and we need to be open and receptive and appreciative and respectful enough to those individuals, to understand that they might be different people now, and we shouldn't expect them to go up and open up old wounds again and again. It's just not, it's not cool as a fan of a person. Forget about the fact that they're performance artists, and just realize that some people's music is more cathartic and therapeutic and personal than others. Some people write songs, whether it's pop or rock or electronic, whatever genre, whatever style of music. They might write things that are just fun to bop to. They might write things that have a good rhythm and make you move and dance, and things that are interesting rhythmically. But some people write songs that are very emotional and sensitive and personal, and Sleep Token has always been that kind of group. In the past, a lot of it's been shrouded in mystique, mystery, and fantasy, and a lot of layers of covering up the true intention and the meaning behind those words. But recently, in this new album, it's very direct and personal. So we need to maybe just appreciate and respect people, that they may need to present some new things so that they don't feel so hurt every time they get up there and feel like they're imprisoned. So he plays discordant days on repeat. Discordant meaning it's at odds, it's not right, it's it's off, it's disjointed, it's not harmonious. But he plays them until they look like harmony. So he tries to mold all these past difficult, trying trials and tribulations, experiences that he's been through, and tries to make it. There's a beautiful thing about living a life and telling a story where you can kind of frame it, you can reframe it, You can create, you know, we all tell a story about our histories, about our lives, what we've been through, and how we've grown through those experiences. And there's a lot of different ways to frame that. And in psychology, um, it's called cognitive reframing. When you look back and instead of looking at yourself as being a victim of all of these past experiences, you look at it as building strength and character and growing from these things that have been so difficult in the past. It's like another analogy would be polishing a rough ashlar into a diamond. That's another. I'll get personal at this point. I'm a practicing Stoic. I have been ever since. I don't know, ever since it became a little bit more mainstream with people like Ryan Holiday and Donald Robertson bringing it to the attention of the public in more modern culture. But I was, you know, I've been doing that for years. I journal in the morning, I journal at night, I read a lot about Stoic philosophy, and yeah, it's about, yeah, I mean, it's self-improvement, but it's about not allowing external things to affect your own sense of yourself and your own, you know, your own personal volition, and making sure that you're in charge of you're only being affected by what you control. And there's a lot in this world that is outside of your control. You can write songs and perform music and have all the best intentions, but some people may not like what you're doing. Some people may have things to say about your art and your craft that are really unhelpful and hurtful. And you have to be able to just accept that everybody has their opinion, and you can only control what is within your own power. That's a big part of Stoicism. And I think that's something that Vessel's having to deal with now, because there's a lot of chatter and a lot of gossip and a lot of people in his orbit probably telling him to do this or that, and assessing his music, his performances, his trajectory, what comes next, telling, you know, again, pressure from record label and people around him. And just the feeling of having so much attention centered on you. So he's going to have to navigate that. I hope he does. I hope it works out. Whether he stays in Sleep Token and continues to perform music under that moniker and that title, or whether he has to design his exit and leave. Either way, I just hope that he's able to make it through all that pressure and come out the other side you know, a better person and a stronger person, because these things can break a lot of people. You see it happen a lot with like teen stars, people who haven't quite matured enough to deal with all of the pressure of this kind of schedule and this kind of lifestyle. But he's a pretty grown man. I won't say exactly how old he is, but he's, you know, he's had enough life experience. He's been around long enough that you know, he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's a smart guy. He's an incredibly high IQ, intelligent guy. He puts a lot of work into his music, and I think he'll be okay no matter what. I don't think any of us need to really worry about that, but he's struggling a lot, and I think he always has. And those of us that connect so strongly with the music of Sleep Token, you know, have all probably had some level of those same feelings, and feeling inadequate and feeling less than, and not quite like you don't know if you're going to make it, and just depression. And the song is very vulnerable. And again, I really appreciate the vulnerability and love that he's being this open with everyone, but it's also heartbreaking. It's also tragic to hear as a fan that there's this much pain still going on, and it's a new era, and there's a lot of interesting things about what's going to happen in the House Viridian and the Feathered Host, and how that's going to play out, and the glitches at the end of these videos that give us a little insight into the dichotomy and everything looks good on the outside, but things are burning on the inside, and he touches upon that in this song. Nobody told me that I'd get tired of myself. He's playing out this character. He's going out day after day, night after night, and he's kind of losing himself, losing his identity. I think when this started out and Sleep Token became a thing, it was a way for someone to get out some, deal with some shit in their life and write some songs and be creative, and then come back home and still have a life. I mean, you hear that in some of the previous albums of theirs. I'm thinking of not Fall For Me, but The Love You Want. You lie an inch apart on your own continuum. I'll keep the freak show talk at a careful minimum. That's someone who's going through a relationship with someone, and they probably think that the whole Sleep Token mask and vessel and all that, lore and character that he's created is a little bit odd and far-fetched and fantastic, and like, don't talk to me about that. Like, I imagine that whether it's someone in his family or his girlfriend at the time, his love interest, was probably like, can we keep that separate from our relationship? Like, I know that's something you do, and you love music, and you love getting up and performing these songs, and you wear this mask to keep your identity private and make it all about the music, which is great, but can we keep that all at a minimum? And that seems like that's something that he brought up in a previous album to touch upon that. And he probably, with the new stuff, struggles. We heard in Caramel, Can I Get a Mirror side stage? Just trying to remind himself that he is someone outside of this, because he's probably losing himself in this identity. He's glorified and deified by people at this point, because he's such a talented and wonderful songwriter and great musician, and people were noticing that, and he didn't want to be known. He likes his privacy. I'm sure he's an introvert. I'm sure he's a reader. I mean, it's obvious he's a scholar, and he loves learning about, cultures, and he was probably a straight A student. But he's losing that. And I'm sure that is hard. It's hard for me. I mean, most of us who are introverts and who are pretty quiet people, this is the most I talk when I get on here and I do these reaction videos. By far the most that I talk. I'm pretty quiet outside of this, but that's what Sleep Token does to me. It makes me think, and sparks something in me, both emotionally and intellectually. It stimulates my mind, and makes me want to talk to other people about it, because he's just such a creative songwriter, and has a way with words, and a great way of putting. And not only, there's a lot of people who are rappers who are high IQ and can put together phrases and words, and just, it blows your mind, the creativity and the level of intelligence that goes into that music. But this has another emotional, really moving aspect to it that is hard to find in music, for me anyway. There's a lot of music that I appreciate for different reasons, be it rhythms. I like to listen to music that has challenging elements of different meters and time signatures, and creative chords and things like that, voicings, and just different ways to express talents and show talent. But when you can have that, and you can have a song that is really emotionally impactful, is a strange and rare ability to hone and master. And he just keeps getting better. He and two, they just keep getting better with the songwriting. And again, this one isn't too complex. It's just a handful of chords, but the way that he's able to change the dynamics from the delicacy of a piano with some high octave timbre piano notes going, and then we had just that little touch of slight overdriven Fender guitar just before the second verse started, that reminded me of like some, I don't know, early 90s, 2000, like emo type of Midwest emo guitar. And if you know about Vessel's history, then you'll know that there's some of that in his musical past. But just all these little bells and whistles and ear candy that shows up in their music, all the details, the nuance is really impressive, really impressive. And I don't know how much of that is just him bringing that straight to his producer, or maybe if the producer is helping bring that out of him, or maybe it's just a great relationship and a chemistry between Vessel and Vessel 2 and the producer. But it's magic. It's pure magic. This was a great song to react to, and I'm gonna go back and listen to it on repeat for a while, and I cannot wait to get into the reactions from the community. I think there's been a massive outpouring of people who are responding to these new songs, fans old and new, and people who have no idea who Sleep Token is that are coming on board. So that it's an exciting time for Sleep Token fans, and we'll see if this is the end, or if we're gonna get some more music from them, and how that unfolds in the future. But I'm looking forward to it no matter what. But again, if you're not pulling for and rooting for Vessel to find some peace of mind and some contentment and some acceptance and in whatever path that means for Sleep Token, then I think you need to check yourself, and don't be selfish. Think about someone else and their mental health. I know that's such a buzzword nowadays, and it's loaded. There's a lot in that word, in that term, mental health. But if someone is struggling a lot with something and you just want, give me more music, give me more heavy, give me more emotional hurt and anguish and pain and turmoil, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you need to check your thoughts and what you want out of someone else, because that's an awful way to look at someone else and your hopes for the future for that person. And I know, it's a touchy subject, because he's making a lot of money from this, and he's doing well, and his career is skyrocketing, and he's telling us this in the music. He's like, I know I should be grateful, and I'm too old and too wise at this point to not be grateful and to be bitter about what's happening to me. It's really tragic. You've got someone who's wanted to protect their identity and loves their own personal life and their own introspective, introverted life, but they're now in the limelight, and they're dealing with that, and they're realizing that it's very unlikely that the future for them is going to be much different than what's going on right now. And that's hard. That's really hard. Like, I'm about to cry for this guy. It's so hard to know that someone of that disposition is in a position like this and never really wanted it. But he's gonna have to figure it out, and if not, God, let's hope for the best for him. Let's hope that wherever this goes from here, that he can just be at peace. And I don't care if we never get any more Sleep Token music or not. It'd be a shame. It would be a shame, not for me, but for the world, just for everyone, to not have anything else come out of this guy for us all to enjoy. But I want it to be something that he's happy with. I want it to be something that he feels good about sharing, and not just some, jaded, bitter, tragic story that's just never ending. That's terrible. That's awful if we want that from someone else. So again, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. This hasn't been a terribly long video. It's pretty long, 45 minutes, but I'm gonna go out. It's a nice day here in Central Florida. I think I'm gonna go out at the pool and read for a while, and get ready for this coming week. But again, subscribe. You'll get notified whenever I've got new Sleep Token reaction videos coming out. I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly enjoyed listening to the song. As crushing as it was such a beautiful song. And that, again, that end where 2 is like, yeah, I hear you, Vessel, times 2. He got to go off on those fills, and it was such a triumphant, hopeful, bright ending. Really enjoyed that ending. Hopefully we get some more of that. We'll find out less than a couple weeks before even in Arcadia. Looking forward to that. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend, and subscribe, and you'll get some more from me very soon. Thanks.